Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am so excited to be kicking this off. We are going to be having author Brittany Roth on here. Now, I'm trying to figure, okay, hold on. Hey, Bethany. Hey, Kat. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Every time I've done this so far, I always get someone random on here as this. We're going to try so hard not to do this. Okay, author. Oh, wait, do I have to wait till she's on? Hey, Val. Hello. We are just going to take we are waiting for the author. Yes, amazing. Okay, let's try to do this. I think I got it this time. Okay, my invitation was sent. Woo! This was like our first successful, first try.
Hi. Okay,
Hello.
Let me figure this out.
Take your time.
Okay. I think this is good. Okay, there we are. Hi.
Hello, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. This is so fun.
This is incredible. I am so excited. We have so many amazing members in our community tonight. The way I like to do this is to have us kind of discuss your writing style, shift over to a discussion about the book, and kind of wrap it up with a Q&A.
Okay. Nice.
Amazing. Oh, well, we got a good start. Bethany loved the book.
Oh, yeah.
Yay. So I wanted to start by asking you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay. Hi, I'm Brittany Roth. I have been writing on and off since I was, 12. I would always write little stories. I was the weird kid that loved having a pop essay in English class. I was yes, that was my favorite day. But I didn't really think that I wanted to be an author until I decided that I was going to be an author, I guess. And it was because of Hollywood Psycho, the Julie Simon story. It was that idea came about when I was taking one of my college classes. I have a minor in radio, TV, film, so I was taking one of the film classes, and we had to write a film treatment, which is basically like an essay about exactly what's going to happen in the movie. So that was my movie. And then once I graduated, I was working as a nanny, and I had a lot of time on my hands while the kids were at school. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to turn this into a book. And then I was like, I'm going to be an author. So that's how that came about.
That's so cool. So was that this came out pretty recently, right?
Yeah, it came out in 2023, but I started writing it the idea for it came about in 2012, but I didn't start writing it until 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then I just wrote it on and off, and then I really started to pursue it and think I'm going to get this published when I don't know the year. 2018, and then I got pregnant with mine and my husband's daughter, and I was too sick to look at a screen, so then I just put it on the back burner. And then I was once she was born, I think around 4 months, I was I think I want to pick it back up again. And then she was 6 months old, and then no, she was 7 months old, and we found out we were pregnant with our son, and so I was too sick again to look at a screen. And then then picked it back up once he was born. Then I would edit during midnight feedings, late night feedings on my phone. So that's what kept me awake. Yeah, that's what kept me awake. Otherwise, I was I was falling asleep because it's hard.
So hard. And Nezzy said too that she loved that you were able to take inspiration from an assignment. I feel like that would be a professor's dream right there.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, because I always thought, because this professor, he had worked in the industry, and he worked on the original, what's it called? Oh, I cannot remember the name of the show, but it was like an original show and they remade it like a few years ago. But he was like one of the people that worked on that show and he worked on other things. And so I was like, you know what? He's just trying to get ideas. Like he's having us, I
Yes.
thought he was trying to pick out like his favorite, but I
Did you
was
ever like
fishy.
send it to him or anything, or like send him the final book?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't. I don't even remember his name,
Okay.
honestly. Yeah.
Well, you got it. You got to check.
Right.
Hollywood Psycho, the movie premieres like soon, and you're like, wait a second.
Exactly.
That's so
Really
funny.
funny.
That's amazing. Now, when you were writing so I guess you said it started as a assignment essay.
Right.
Do you remember like your, I guess, like, prompt behind it? Like, why a thriller?
Well, he just kind of said like write like a movie that you would want to see. And so one of my favorite movies is called The In Crowd from the year 2000 because there's like a really old one, but the one that's from the
Okay.
year 2000, it's like a little kind of like little thriller and so I that's like the main kind of inspiration behind the book. And then two other movies that kind of inspired it was or were The Bling Ring. I don't know if you remember.
Yep.
Yeah, The Bling Ring. And then Alpha Dog, just kind of like the aspect where like the mom in the book is kind of sitting in kind of like a hospital setting giving like an interview. So that kind of was, if you've read the book, then you kind of know towards the end she's giving like an interview.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Belle was talking on here the other day during a reading sprint about what was your inspiration for this book. And that's so funny that the bling ring, because I don't know the alpha dog,
Uh-huh.
do know the bling ring, and I can
Yeah.
see that connection.
Right. Yeah, just like I loved how like it was kind of like filmed like in such like a dark manner, like film noir. It's like really dark and like in my head that's how it is.
Yes.
So
Oh
I'm
my
trying to
God.
like I tried to like articulate that in the book, but I don't know like because I read it one way, I don't know how it interprets in somebody else's mind, but it's
It
just kind of
interprets
like
that way.
okay, good.
Kind of like now that you say it too, especially I'm like picturing it, and I'm like, this makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, and also the one of like the main I have to always put this one in there. One of the main inspirations for Dalton Blake is Dylan McKay from Beverly Hills 90210, Luke Perry. He was like my first crush. I was too young watching the show, but I was watching with like my mom and my sisters, but I just remember him pulling up like in his Porsche Speedster and he'll forever be like my first crush. So he's like the inspiration for Dalton Blake.
Uh,
Yeah.
I have so much feelings about this.
I'm
Not in the 90210, but about Dalton, which we'll definitely get into. Oh, she got
okay.
the Dylan vibe. Okay, I don't.
Okay, good.
I never saw. I'm sad. I don't know who that is.
Wait, I'm like aging myself, maybe.
No, not at all. I just didn't watch that one. Oh, I feel like most people on here probably know what you're talking about at least. But it gives like it's kind of reminding me of like the similar like One Tree Hill of
Yeah,
era in a way,
yeah, kind of, yeah.
like ish. It's my only comparison to it. So how did you feel when you were writing this? Just because there were some dark moments.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
How in the world did you mentally prepare for that?
I just it was different because I had that film treatment assignment to kind of look back on to see like where I wanted the story to go. But I'm pretty much like a pantser, which is like I just kind of just write. I sit down and I write. So once like the idea comes, I'm just kind of like in it, and then when I'm done writing, I'm kind of like, oh, I'm in my room, or kind of out of the story. Like I'm living what's happening in my head. So I feel all of the emotions that like the characters are feeling. Um, but as far as being, I don't know how it really felt. It was kind of like a while ago.
You
you
can
know,
separate the two.
the what?
You can separate the two.
The two, like, what do you mean separate the two?
So like when you're no, don't be sorry. Like when you're writing it, you're like in the zone, right? But then you get out of it and like, can you put that to the side, or does it take you a little bit? I'm always curious. I've never.
It just depends. Like if
Okay.
Um, Normally, yeah, I can separate it and I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm not watching that movie anymore. I'm just like back to being Brittany. But it depends on the scene. Something that I just wrote like a few months ago, I was actually like crying while I was writing it. It was just, because I was living it. And it involved like kids because it's like she's like a mother and she has kids and something was happening. So I was like living it, just like imagining like if that were happening to me and like my children. And then coming out of it, I was just like, okay, I need to take a break. Just kind of go do something else, turn my mind off from this and get distracted. So it just depends on like what I'm writing. Like, but normally I can just kind of like come out of it and then go about. But then all the other times, like when I'm just, like doing laundry, making dinner, if I have an idea, I have to write it down, otherwise I'll forget it. But it like, it's always in the back of my mind, like something is happening, like something's playing.
That's so interesting. Wait, that's fascinating because one of the things I love to hear from like you guys when I'm interviewing you is like how your writing style comes about. And there's been such a mix. Like one time someone kind of answered it similarly to you, like a TV show playing in the background.
Yes.
But I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, it's really like weird. I guess maybe that's just like how my mind just works. Like I am one of the people that I'm just always in my head. I'm always thinking, always imagining like things. I'm always living in a different world. So I don't know. I just have all of these things.
That's amazing. And I feel like it actually came across so well in this book too, is that it was so visual and like so fast paced. I was like, I need to take a moment at one point. I was like, whoa, what just happened?
I always feel like, because I've been asked like, oh, would you ever do like a full length? And like, why wasn't this like a full length? And I didn't want all of this added fluff like to be in there. I didn't feel like it needed to have all of this extra stuff. I just wanted it to get to the point. Like I just wanted it to be like a satisfying read from like start to end and not have all of this like kind of like filler in between. So it just was like boom, 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 boom.
I Bethany said she really liked that, and I was going to agree because there's some times when I'm like, this could have been condensed, and this one was, oh my goodness, like I couldn't put it down.
Oh yay!
It was so good, even though like I'm not gonna lie, Julie Simon, I wanted to throw the book at times, but like, what was your inspiration for her? Is what I'm curious about too.
I just kind of knew that I wanted her to be like very naive. And I think when I started writing her, I was kind of very naive. I was still like very much young, like when I came up like with the idea of her. And so I didn't have like all of this life experience yet. And so I think a lot like it was like some of me, like my younger self coming through her. And then I just knew that I really wanted that to continue. I just wanted her to just be completely oblivious to the world. So especially because she's from like a smaller town and then coming into like LA and like the whole Hollywood scene is just like it's like an eye opener kind of thing.
Yes, and especially with that, it had a nice blend too, which I think you probably did on purpose, is that like you said it in that 1993 era when like now is when we're hearing a lot of things come out about that era that was so awful. And so that was a great, I thought, connection point too between the two.
Oh, good. Nice.
I don't know if that was that intentionally done, like based off of it or no?
No, when I decided when I wanted it to take place. It originally was supposed to take place in 1991, but I don't know why I chose that. I just thought, oh, it'd be cool if it was like, like set in the 90s. And then, but then I had to do some like research and stuff, like when the Viper Room, it opened in 1993. So I was like, oh, that doesn't work. I'll just change the year. So then that's how it just landed on 1993. And I thought that's a good time. It was a good time in Hollywood.
Yes. Yeah.
All the stars that they had back then were good. And they all kind of like
Yeah.
continue to grow up to be like these big movie stars. So that was cool.
I do have one question, but I also wanted to. Bethany said that she pictured Rachel slash Raquel from Vanderpump. Are you familiar?
No, I don't watch Vanderpump. No, I don't watch
Okay,
it.
totally fair, but it's such a good comparison. Is the Viper Room a real place?
It is, yes. And then
Oh,
like where it makes like the reference like, oh, say hi to Johnny. It's because Johnny Depp was one of like the owners and like one of the people that opened it. He doesn't own it
oh,
anymore. But he used to like play there like with his band.
oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So
How much you had to probably do a lot of research then going into this book. Is that
um
or
I've always been kind of like a Hollywood buff just because like I live like in Orange County, but like my dad like lives in like LA County, so I would be there every other weekend and we'd be just around. And then I've just like have grown up just going to LA, going to Hollywood. That's just fun. And so I've always kind of like had those like little random like facts that I've known about it. And like I used to watch like a lot of like E News and then like back in the day like VH1 and MTV like when it was good.
yeah,
So I've always had those like little kind of like random facts like in my back pocket. So it was fun to kind of put those in there.
that's so cool. Oh, and Belle got the Johnny vibes.
Oh, nice.
Me and Brittany can be buds. I understand her. That's amazing. I love that, Belle. The
My tripod.
oh yeah,
I broke it the other day, and so I tried to like fix it with like a hot glue gun, and then I forgot to get a new one, so I'm holding.
that's
Hopefully it holds up.
that's the worst. You get some duct tape, and you're like,
Oh my
okay.
goodness, yeah. I'm just like, ah.
When you were coming up with I guess, like, what, when you were choosing how this story played out, did you have it set up? Like, did you know exactly where it was going to take you when you were writing it? I know it did start as that essay, but like, how did that go about?
I contemplated if I wanted to have other people's voices in it, like if you would hear, like if it was going to be like a dual perspective. I thought, oh, maybe I could go back and forth between Julie and Roxy, because I did want this like specific kind of like scene to be in there where it's after Julie catches Dalton and Roxy together, and then like he runs out, and then he comes back in, and she's like kind of, I forgot exactly what he says in it. Oh goodness. But I wanted like that interaction to be in there, so that's why I ended up putting Roxy's note, and it's written in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But I was contemplating whether or not I wanted to do like a dual perspective, but ultimately I just like decided I think it would be best if it was just from like the words of Julie. That's just how
Yeah.
it just ended up going that way. I tried to like put in Roxy's perspective, but I just didn't like it. So then I just left it solely for Julie and just her story just panning out.
That's so interesting. I could see, I'm glad that like, I loved reading it, so I'm glad you went with the way you did, but I could also see that little like dual POV,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
wonder if it wouldn't be as like suspenseful.
Right. Yeah. It would have changed it. It would have been a different story, I think.
Definitely.
But yeah.
When you were, I guess it's a little different just because I feel like that essay portion probably geared it a little bit, maybe.
Mhm.
But in terms of like, did you go in with this being like, okay, I want the readers to have this takeaway or get this feeling from it?
You know what? At first, I didn't because I was so new trying to figure out just how to write it. So I was just writing it, just whatever was coming to my mind, I was just putting it out there. And then once I was done writing it and I was reading it, then I was feeling like, oh, I hope that the readers they love Julie, but at the same time, they just want to like shake her and be like, girlfriend, like wake up. But yeah, so just in the beginning, I didn't know like what it really was going to be. It was just me putting words on paper. And then in the end, that's when I was like, this is what I want the reader to take away. I want them to either still love Dalton or completely hate Dalton. And then I want them to just obviously hate Roxy. And then Julie, I just want them to just, I hope that they just want to go and just give her a hug. So, you know.
Dang. Oh, that's an interesting take on Roxy. Giving her a hug. Yeah.
Oh, no, no, give Julie a hug.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
Not Roxy. No,
Give
you
Roxy
hate
a
Roxy.
hug.
Maybe I said that wrong. Sorry. No,
No,
completely hate Roxy. Give Julie a hug.
yeah. Okay. How do you feel about Dalton then?
I always had a soft spot for him. And he was funny because I kind of, when I was writing like his scenes with Julie, I wanted it to come across as if, you know, like he really likes her. And obviously she is completely in love with him. But I wanted to come off as if like he's like the cool guy, but you know, he's the cool guy that is having like a soft spot for her. So he kind of likes her. Like he does like her. And so I always just kind of like liked him, but then I knew that he did this bad thing. But in the book that I just released the other day, which is called Hollywood After the Psycho, it's the continuation to this story. And so that one's actually dual perspective. So you do hear from Dalton. So it's Julie's perspective 30 years later on everything that's happened in between, and then Dalton's perspective 4 years after 1993, so in 1997. And he gives insight from like his point of view of everything that happened, and then he also gives more like backstory as to like Roxy and like why she chose to do everything, to set everything up. So there's that.
Oh my God. I'm getting this right after, because I was gonna say what happens next, like
yeah. So that one's in that one.
oh my gosh, wait, I'm so excited to read it. At what point when you were writing this did you know exactly how you wanted this to end?
I knew I wanted the last line of Julie's to be like, I want to be them, like I want to be one of them, like one of the palm trees. I knew that from like the beginning. For some weird reason, I wanted that to be her last line. And so then that's why I like incorporated the palm trees within like the whole thing. And then I thought it would be like a cool spin if at the end you found out that she's being interviewed, because of that whole like inspiration from the movie Alpha Dog where the mom is being interviewed. I thought that's how I want it to be. Like at the end, you're just like, oh, okay. So she's like, you know, in like a state hospital, like, you know, being interviewed about everything that happened. So that I always knew that that's how I wanted it to end, like with the interview and then the palm tree line.
Why palm trees? Because like Bethany just said, the trees behind you are also palm trees. Is there?
Oh yeah. This is my daughter's room. Hers is like the cutest room in our house. It's like I like decorated it like the Beverly Hills Hotel. It's just like one of my favorite places to go. So she has like the wallpaper, the painted stripes. Like her room is so cute. But yeah. So that's why that's the Beverly Hills Hotel is in the book. Like that's where they go on like that first date, because that's a place that I love to go. It's like one of my favorite places to go. And if you ever get the chance to go to the Polo Lounge and get the chocolate souffle, you will not be disappointed. It's the best one you'll ever have in your life.
Oh my God. Okay.
And there's also good celebrity watching too. So
my two favorite things, chocolate and celebrity watching.
Exactly.
I love that. Oh.
So yeah, so the palm tree thing, I thought that she needed something to connect to because she didn't have any family since she was just by herself. She needed something that she could kind of relate to. And so I was thinking like, well, what could that be? And one day I was just like looking out the window and I saw a palm tree and I was like, I wonder. And then I just started thinking about it and like what they actually do. Cause like in the wind, like they really just like sway and then they're just, whoop, when the wind's over, they're just right back up again. And so I was like, maybe I could do that kind of connection. And then that's how it kind of came together.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and now every time I see palm trees, I just think of Julie Simon. So
that's amazing. Like, that is so fascinating.
And I also like didn't know that they were just like a piece of grass. Like I learned that when I was like Googling about palm trees. Apparently they're like part of like the grass family. Like it's like I don't, yeah, I thought that was interesting.
I wish my
But
class looked like that. That would be
the,
so
oh, I know, right? Like
fun.
little palm trees everywhere. That would be so fun.
That would be so ideal.
Yeah.
That is so cool to think though that you can get that connection. Because like
Yeah, it was interesting, like
I
to
would
kind
not
of
have
pull that
thought that.
together. So
That's amazing.
yeah, thank you.
That's really cool. I'm just like, I think part of the thing that I always find the most fascinating is like
Mhm.
the concept of it all and how you
Right.
get from A to Z. Because
Right.
there was that one point in the book, and I just have to go back to it because like I wasn't, it was the scene with Chad and, well, that whole Chad and Sebastian, really Chad situation with the hotel room.
Right.
How did that come about?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I let's see, when I was trying to like write the movie essay that I needed to write, I thought that she needed to have something that because Roxy had all the power. And so she needed to like really show that she had power even over Dalton. So I thought, like she, as much as I didn't want to like write that, like I felt like, okay, this should probably happen to her. And so I just kind of wrote that and I was like, who should do it? And then I just thought, okay, well, Chad's going to be the one because I don't know, he just seems like one of those kind of annoying,
Chad.
preppy guys that you see like in movies, that you're just kind of like, ill, like go away. Like, so I just felt like if he was the one that did it, it would just show, like to Dalton, like, that he isn't going to be able to do anything. Like Roxy's just going to be in control like the whole time. So that's just kind of how that came about. I felt weird like writing it. That's why I didn't like, well, I can't write like those like graphic-y kind of scenes. Like they're just not for me. So that's why I just did it kind of like you just assumed and your assumption was right, kind of.
Yeah, that one I had to take a step back. But honestly, it took me a second to connect those two. Like I knew it had to be someone, but I was like, no, it can't be.
Right. Yeah.
It was like he's that kind of guy who's a jerk. Yes, it reminds me of I don't know if it's not I don't think it's Heather's. It's that movie with the brother and the sister that are kind of I can't think of it, but I can picture it. I just can't think of the name. Anyway, Bethany loved the two besties from the restaurant. Yes. They were the best.
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
did they come from?
I just thought that she needed somebody who would like be by her side. And so she needed somebody that she would kind of, push away because all of a sudden she's like in this land of, glitz and glam. And she would just be like, oh, well, I have people now, so Julie kind of needed to have that little bit of a, where she felt like she was better than somebody else. And so it had to happen to Jeffrey and Dawson, but they were just like the best. She should have stuck with them the whole time.
Like,
oh yeah, very Cruel Intentions vibes.
That was the movie. Thank you, Val. I was like, someone here has to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The other thing I was wondering is, have you seen the show You at all?
I saw the first season and a little bit of the second. I just haven't like gotten back to it yet.
Fair. I started to like watch it and I got to like season 4 and it was really fascinating because after reading this book is when I got to season 4.
Uh-huh.
And in it, one of the guys is obsessed with the idea of taking someone's life.
Oh,
and
goodness.
all I could think of was Roxy. And I was like, have you read this book? Like it was.
Maybe it's my professor.
Oh my gosh, wait, that would be crazy.
I'm gonna look into that now.
That's so funny. That would be a plot twist.
Oh yeah.
You could write a book off of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we also like to do these book clubs, I like to also ask everyone to come prepared to talk about like 3 specific prompts.
Okay.
And so the first one that I had was, what was your first impression of Julie Simon, and did that change as the story unfold? did. One thing I thought that was interesting was because you did want the readers to get that big takeaway of how you want to like give her a hug and she's naive, is that I feel like even now she would still be that naive in a way.
Mm-hmm. You'll have to read the new book.
Oh,
I can't give it away.
okay.
I wish that I could give you the answer, but it's like if I give you the answer and then you read the next book, then you'll, yeah.
Oh, I'm reading the next book. So, okay. Oh, that's so fair. Okay.
I want to give you the answer. I'll give it to you off screen so that.
Yes, please. I need to know. That's so funny. But then the other part then we're gonna go to question. Bethany says she was naive, but the annoyingly naive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the only tough part.
Uh-huh.
And I want to shake her and be like,
Yeah.
girl, come on.
Yeah.
But we can't talk too much about it. So let's just go to question 2 then. And because one thing I thought that was really interesting was as I was reading it, I was like, this feels like it's something that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had everyone come with the answer to what moment in the book made you stop and go, is this fiction or is this real? And what made it so believable?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was this part when she starts to like separate from the two of them and like move on to this clique is what I call them.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what everyone else's thoughts for this would be. Because I want to see how everyone else was feeling, if there's any questions too there. This is when I like to get everyone's take on things. Honestly, the whole time. Okay, well, that's a good answer too. That's one of the craziest parts. Like, how did you write it so it felt so believable?
I think because when I'm like writing, I feel like I'm writing it as if it's like a movie monologue, like when there's like a movie, but the main character is kind of like narrating what's happening. That's kind of like the feel that I wanted, or that's just how I felt it was.
Yeah.
It was like I was like narrating a movie. So that's just kind of like how that came about. Yeah, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
No, that's okay. That makes sense. That's so,
Yes.
I can't get over the fact it feels like when you're just doing the dishes, you look out and be like, I gotta turn this into a movie, like type.
Yeah, sometimes. And I also think I'm remembering now. So, a few people have said that it reads as if you're like listening to like a true crime podcast or like you're watching like a true crime documentary. And so I didn't realize that at first until like they had mentioned that. So now I add that like within like my marketing. But I do like to watch true crime, and like I'm a big Dateline fan, big Keith Morrison over here, love him. But I think because I watched a lot of Dateline, like in between like writing, maybe that's like it's subconsciously translated into that. So I think that's how that also kind of how it was.
Absolutely, because I'm thinking about it. It literally, I can see it now, especially with the end and the scene in the rocks, with the driving in.
Right. Yeah. So I think maybe just like subconsciously it's because I like to watch true crime.
That's why it felt so real. Like,
right. Yeah.
Bethany's not wrong. Like that, the whole time it felt real. And I think that was like the shock factor for me. I was like, oh my gosh. So that makes so much sense. That's so interesting.
Yeah. And I just thought like, what would be like the most kind of like outlandish type thing that could happen? Like because I'm not like Roxy at all. So I thought like, well, if I lived a completely different life and I was like this kind of like mean girl, like what would I do? Like what could I do to someone that would be, kind of trick them into doing something or thinking that they did something? And so, that's kind of where I went with her. I was just like kind of, if I lived this life, what would I do? And so that's how Roxy's kind of whole scheme kind of came about. Like, what would I do? So, which is kind of fun, like when you're playing like somebody who's like polar opposite than you, because I would never do that. I'm like, I wouldn't even like hurt a fly, like that kind of
Like to live
person.
with
So,
no feeling.
yeah, like I have no idea. I don't think I could. Oh, I don't know, but
Did you have a favorite character to write?
I mean, I'm always gonna be partial to Julie just because it was fun to just write like how, like she was kind of like still just like a little child. She just believed in this like hopeless, romantic, like love that she had for Dalton, like a love at first sight, and she just was so just like oblivious to everything, and she was kind of like just like the loves like the love that she had for Dalton was just like sweet to write. So I think like that is what was she's like my favorite one to write. Just like even over like Roxy, just because she was fun too, just to kind of like tap into that what would it be like side. But yeah, I think I'm always just gonna be partial to Julie. She's always just gonna be like my first love. She's my first child that I created.
Oh, did you have, I guess then, like a favorite scene that you got to write, or was it?
Oh, favorite scene. I remember when I wrote the beach scene. I was working as a nanny and I was at one of the boys' like batting practices, and I was like the idea just came to me and I was like, okay. So I was literally writing it on my phone like in an email so that I could, email it to myself and then add it to like my document. So that one I think I'll just like always remember because for some reason I just remember like the exact spot that I was when I wrote it.
Which beach scene? Like the one where
The initiation scene. Sorry.
No, that's what I thought. But how did you get from batting practice to that?
Because I was like thinking of like what was going to be next. Like what was I like what I knew something like it was like going to be the first kind of like bad thing that was going to happen, and I was trying to think like, well, what would happen? And so I was just like watching like the kid I was nannying for just that batting practice, and then I thought, I wonder if they could like she might have to maybe drown, like and I was like, okay, well, how would that happen? And then I was like, okay, they're gonna go to a beach and there's gonna be a bonfire. And then I just started going, like while he was just swinging away, and I was just boop, 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 boop.
Wait,
So,
that's crazy.
yeah, so just that's how my brain works, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what that says about me, but
I think it says you're really creative.
oh, thank you.
So can you write anywhere?
I mean, kind of, I guess. It just like it depends on if like the idea comes.
Okay.
Like once like inspiration hits, I have to get it out, otherwise I'll forget. I usually like to keep like a notebook with like a pen handy so I could just like jot down, because if I put it in my phone, it's like out of sight, out of mind. And sometimes I'll text myself so that I'll remember if I don't have like a paper and pen. But if I write it down, I remember it for some reason. But on my phone, I will not.
That's literally, I mean, that's what they say. If you write it down, you're going to remember it.
Yeah.
And Caitlin also asked which one should I read first, the Julie Simon or the Luke Townsend?
Oh, so either one. They don't have any correlation with each other. They're like standalones within like a series. So you could read Julie's first or you could read Luke's first. But if you read Julie's, there is a second one. So Hollywood After the Psycho is the continuation to Julie. So you'd have to read Julie's before you read Hollywood After the Psycho. But yeah, between Julie Simon and Luke Townsend, any order is cool.
When did did Julie come first?
Julie is the first one, yes.
Okay.
Luke's I released last August, in August 2024.
Oh wow, that's a pretty quick turnaround to now have the Hollywood Psycho after the Hollywood Psycho come out.
Yeah, well, I had kind of, but I already had it like written, so
okay,
like kind of. So I already had both. I already had Luke's written. I was just like editing it, and then I wrote she wrote Hollywood After the Psycho in July through like October 2023. So then it was just like editing that. So yeah.
Huh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
What is Luke Townsend going to be like a same genre type?
It is. It is
Yes.
very, it's like a light thriller, kind of true crime-esque. Hers takes place more like present day, and she is different than Julie. She actually is like an heiress. So it's almost as if like Roxy were like the main character, but she's not mean. Luke's not mean, but she's like this daughter of these famous artists. So she's just kind of like as if she's like the Paris Hilton and like Nicole Richie. Like she's just like an heiress and the it girl, jet setting around. So that's who like Luke Townsend is. But she doesn't like it. She wants to be normal. She doesn't like being in the limelight. She like puts on the act. Like Paris Hilton puts on the voice for like the media, but if you hear her real voice, it's different. So
Yeah.
that's like how Luke is. So she puts on like an act for the media, but when it's just her, she's just kind of normal.
It's kind of like finding out that an English actor is actually Australian or British. You're like,
Right.
wait, this isn't
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's always the weirdest to me.
I know.
As you like write more, do you feel like you start to have favorites, or is it that is every book kind of its own, or do you notice like this growth in yourself too?
Yeah,
that you do?
definitely with every book that I write, I definitely feel like my writing gets better just because like I'm reading more, which when I read books, I look at them as like almost like a workbook, like a study guide or a textbook. I like read other authors and like I see how they may have phrased something and I think, oh, like that's like a genius way of phrasing that. So now I'm like reading differently, still like enjoying, but I like appreciate like the words more from other authors. And then, but I feel like my writing is getting better. And I think every single book, there's certain ones that are more special. I feel like I have a women's fiction that has like a romantic subplot. I'm working on that now. That's gonna be my next release. I'm not quite sure when the release is gonna be quite yet, but I'm working on that one. And that one's one of my like ones that I'm gonna hold near and dear to my heart, just because when I wrote it, I was like very much. It was the one that I wrote completely after Julie's story, like because after I finished Julie's story and I was like starting to work on it and starting to send out queries to like literary agents before I decided to go indie. I was just kind of, that one was already complete, so I was just kind of like editing it and doing, trying to see like where I was going to go. But I wrote this women's fiction called The Him After You, and it was just, I wrote it when I was like in the thick of postpartum depression after having like my kids. And so that completely just helped me. It was like my therapy to like pull myself out of like this dark place. It was like something that like I finally had for my own, because I was like taking care of two babies because they're 15 months apart. So they were literally two babies.
Yeah.
So that one I think will always be like near and dear to my heart. And then this one that I wrote, excuse me, just this past year, I started in February and then I started like late January and I finished like in April, I think, I finished in May. That one is just kind of like special to me too, because that one's actually going to be a full length novel. So that one is kind of, and like the characters, like the two characters, I just like love them so much. So it just depends on the story. Like some of them are just more special than others, or there's like a scene or a character that kind of just like sticks with me more. But I don't know. I think Julie's story will always be the one that's like the closest to me because it's the one that made me an author. So that one's always going to be there.
Well, Bethany said she loved your writing, and I couldn't agree
Oh,
more.
thank you.
Wait, so you have how many books coming out now?
Oh gosh, I have a lot. Okay, confusing. Sorry. Sometimes I get like rambly.
Okay, no, I think I followed. I think are you at 2 now? Because you just released the after, so then.
Yes. So I have Hollywood Psycho, the Julie Simon story, Hollywood Psycho, the Luke Townsend story, and Hollywood After the Psycho. Those are the 3 that are out now. And then I have The Him After You, which is like a women's fiction with a romantic subplot. That one's going to be my next release. And then I'm finishing writing Hollywood Psycho, the Michaela Barstow story, which is going to round out like that original trilogy, because Hollywood After the Psycho is kind of like a little side step from the trilogy. So Michaela's story, I'm still working on that. And then I have like this, the one that I just wrote, it's kind of like a rom-com thriller. Like it kind of starts out as like a rom-com, but then it's a thriller. So
It's amazing.
yeah, I kind of like combined like my two like loves, I guess, like the two like genres that I like to read. So I have three, I guess, that are still like, that are going to be my next releases. And then I have another one that I have the idea for, I just haven't started like writing it. So there's like, there's a lot like going on and like not enough time in the day. Like I feel like if I was a superhero, my ultimate superpower would be to freeze time. So everybody would be frozen except me and my laptop, and then I could get it done. That would be the best.
That's a great answer to that question.
Oh, thank you.
What would be your ideal superpower? That's it. Like that's such a good question.
Yeah.
Manage your time when you can just stop everything. Like that sounds okay.
Yeah.
How do you decide what genre you're gonna write? Is it based off of the idea?
Yeah, I didn't even know what Hollywood Psycho was when I had it. Like when it was done, when Julie's story was done, I had no idea that it was a thriller. I was like, I don't know how to even tell people about this. And then I sent it to, because I had some beta readers read it and they were just like, oh yeah, like they gave me like the feedback and they just liked it. And then when I sent it to the girl who edits for me, my editor, she was the one that said, oh, it's a thriller. And then I was like, you know what? I feel like it's not so thrillery. I feel like it's not like intense. So like I just call them light thrillers. Like they're kind of like introduction thrillers, if you will. And then some readers after it was released started telling me like it's like a true crime. So like I was like, okay, so I'm gonna add that to my little repertoire here. Yep. So yeah, and then as far as like the other genres, the other story, it's called The Him After You. It's like a love after loss story, and that just kind of like came to me, and so it was because I was going through postpartum. I had watched the first season of The Summer I Turned Pretty had just come out, binged that, and then like this idea just kind of like it got me inspired because I was like looking at Jenny Han, thinking like, she wrote these books, she has like these series, like the different series that she has out, and I was like, that's what I want to do. Like I would love to have Hollywood Psycho like be translated, like brought to life, that was like the ultimate dream. But I was just thinking, I got so inspired by her and like doing that, and then it just kind of that story, The Him After You, just kind of came out, and so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna dabble in this now. Like, so I don't really feel like I need to be stuck in one genre. I know some authors like they feel like I need to just write this genre, like, or they come up with a pen name so that they can write in a different genre. But I don't know. For me, I wrote it. I want my name, my actual name on that thing. I want to look at it and be like, I did that.
That's amazing. And you should, like, that's incredible.
Right.
And, like, why, honestly, like, why limit yourself? I can imagine, though, it's so cool to me that you could, like, write a whatever you want to call it, true crime, light thriller, but also have that what did you call it? Like a rom-com fiction?
It's like a rom-com thriller, kind of, yeah.
That's so cool to me that you can, like, do both.
And then I also, like, recently, like, I know Geneva Rose, like, she is predominantly, like, thrillers, but then she came out with, like, a rom-com. So I was like, see, we don't have to just, like, pigeonhole ourselves into, like, one genre. We could do it all.
Absolutely. That's
under the same name.
I just love that. And also, like, then you can, I feel like it doesn't matter where your inspiration's coming from, because you sound like you can, do you have something, like, you do to get inspired, or is it?
No, it just kind of like just comes. Like this one that I wrote, the rom-com thriller. I don't have a title for it yet. I cannot come up with a title. Not yet anyways. That just kind of, I was listening, music is a big inspiration. I was going for like walks every day to kind of like clear my head after I dropped the kids off at school. And I was just thinking about like all different things. There was like a true crime kind of thing that I was like watching. And I was kind of like just thinking about that because I had like finished listening to like a podcast about it, and then I put on music and this song played, and I thought about like the person who was like in the true crime, and then this story just like started playing in my head, and I was like, okay, this is it. Like completely out of nowhere, the story just like popped in. So I was like, I got home and I just started going. Like I wrote the first chapter in like 20 minutes or so. And then like I jotted down like the ideas of like what the story was going to be about. So it's random.
That's amazing. Wait, can I ask what song it was or?
Yeah, so there were actually two. They played back to back perfectly. I was like, what the heck? And one of the songs I hadn't even heard of. So the first one is Risk by Gracie Abrams.
Yeah.
And then, which is a phenomenal song. I love it.
Oh, good.
And then the next one is called, it's called Now I'm In It by Haim. And I had never heard that. I love them, but I didn't know that song, and I played it, and every time like after like once I got the idea, I would literally blast that song anytime I was alone in the car, because for some reason just it sounds the best blasted in the car, you know? Like headphones don't do it right.
No,
They don't
no one
do
can
it
be in
right.
the car. Like
No, yeah. So every time I was alone, I would just blast it, and I see like this scene that just kind of like really inspired the whole story, just like to that song. And and then one time I was just alone like with my husband in the car, and I explained him the scene, and like we had the song going, and I was like, this happens, then this happens, and he stopped, and he was like, whoa. And so I was like, oh yeah, he got it.
wait,
So
that
that was cool.
such a good feeling though.
Oh yeah, he was like, yeah, that's so good. Like, so I was like,
Amazing.
yeah, so like that, when that's gonna be a movie, that's gonna be the song, like for that
Yes.
scene.
Yes. If you were to cast the Julie Simon story, who would your fantasy casting be?
I've been asked this question, and oh, it's hard because I feel like, I don't want to sound mean, but I feel like the group of young actors that are out right now are not that great.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't know who I would choose.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't have anybody that I think is like particularly right for the part in my head. Out of like the age group that they would have to be, like young kind of 20 somethings. I don't know who I would choose out of this like new crop, I guess.
Have you seen, I had to look up her name. Have you seen Fate the Winx Saga by chance?
No, I haven't.
Okay, do you know the redhead in it? Or then you probably don't know the redhead in it, Abigail Cohen.
Oh, why do I know that name? She's been in other stuff, right?
I have no idea, but she's someone I could maybe see doing it.
Okay.
Oh, she was in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Oh. I did not know that, but that's the only one that comes to mind. But that is a good question. Belle said if they were from back in the day, who would it be?
Back in the day. I mean, if it was like back in the 90s and it was like they were like the right age, I mean, Dylan McKay or Luke Perry would be like my Dalton Blake, just because he was like the inspiration. I don't know though. I feel like, okay, so these are like, when I started writing it, these are some of my favorite actors who I would kind of just like put into it. I thought Chad would be like Miles Teller, because I feel like he comes across as very, like a very douchey guy.
Absolutely.
So I feel like he would be a good Chad.
He would be such a good Chad at hers.
Yeah. Sebastian, I don't know. I feel like it could kind of be anybody, not even like a big name, because he's not really like a big character.
Yeah.
Roxy, I've toiled with Sydney Sweeney. I've thought like, oh, she could maybe do it, but I don't feel like she's completely right for the part. And then Julie's the one that's like really hard for me. I cannot decide. I feel like the only person that I can cast is Miles Teller as Chad. Because even Dalton Blake, I'd want somebody like, they have to have like that, I don't know, they have to have something special. And I can't think of who it would be.
Yeah. I was trying to think about it before this, and the only one I could come up with was Roxy. That's like all I could get. I was like,
Who would you pick for Roxy? Oh, the
yeah,
Cohen.
yeah, yeah. That
Okay,
was,
I'm gonna look her up. I'm gonna
yeah,
see.
let me know what you think about that
Okay.
one.
Okay, I feel like I know her name. I know that name. I'm gonna look it up. Yeah, but
Paul Wesley.
Oh, Paul Wesley. Oh, I love him.
Oh my gosh, I love him too.
He would be good. He would be good. A good. He could be Dalton. He could be a Dalton.
Could he be Dalton?
Maybe.
I'm trying to think. I don't know if it would be hard to cast him because I could only think of Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, that's true. He's very much like typecast. Like he can't be.
No, he has to be a vampire.
Oh my goodness.
I want to make sure too that if there are any questions from anyone, I can see Belle had a strong opinion, I think, on Miles Teller too. But if there's any questions in general too, I want to make sure that we cover everything. You see Blake Lively as Roxy. Ah.
Especially with everything that came out.
Well, that's opening up a whole can of worms.
But yeah, I feel like whoever would play like Julie would just have to be like a very kind of like she'd have to really be able to come off as naive, you know, like maybe like a no name, you know, give her big break. That would just like Julie is trying to get her big break. This girl can get her big break. That would be genius.
Yes, that would be genius. I love that idea.
That would be fun.
Wait, I can like so see this as a Hollywood movie. Oh my gosh, wait, would Bella Thorne be a weird Roxy? I'm picking only redheads.
She could be good. She could be good.
Huh.
I don't know. I like her.
Yeah. Bethany said, loved the book, really impressed by the novella style being so fast paced. Oh, you see Roxy almost free spirited. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I want to make sure. Okay. If there's no more questions, I just wanted to thank you so much for joining us. This has been so fun.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you for reading my book. Like,
Absolutely.
seriously. Thank you so much. Like, you have no idea how much I appreciate all of you.
Oh, it was
It's
so
hard being a newbie.
it was so good.
Oh, thank you.
Like,
Thank
genuinely
you.
loved it, and I will be reading your second one. I'm gonna get it on probably my Kindle because I don't want to wait. And I'll get it right away.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Thank you. Oh, nice. Yay. I'm
Thank
so
you
happy.
so much. And thank you guys for joining us once again.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah. Do you read like one book a month? Like,
Yes.
is this a club? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How many members do you have? Or
It depends on the month. Usually we get around like, I like to say between like 6 and 12 so far.
Oh, good. Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good group.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's the best.
How fun.
Oh, so thank you again.
Oh, thank you so much. You're such a good interviewer.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I appreciate that. Oh, wait, why does my live say it's going to end? That's weird. Okay. Sorry, I fixed that. Amazing. Oh, thank you guys so much. This was a blast.
Oh, yeah, I had so much fun. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I will talk to everyone soon.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.